Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 10th of June. Actually before I look at any of the markets, it's just a reminder today, key news today. Well, we do have a bit of lower risk, but still risk data coming. 1:30, we've got the US inflation data. The US numbers haven't been coming out as bad as expected in a lot of cases. Inflation here is expected to come out at 0. On a day like this, it's probably quite meaningless, to be fair, because we've got the FOMC coming out at 7 p.m. Now, at 7 p.m. we've got the economic projections, which people will be going over really quickly with. There's a statement and Fed funds rate, but at 7:30 we then have the press conference to discuss anything that's been changed in the statement, etc., and probably to discuss the projections themselves. So quite a key meeting, this one. And I'm sure people will be waiting to see if they're going to do anything else to make the monetary systems any easier to help the economy. So we'll wait and see for that. But for now, let's have a look at the technicals, and we're starting off with the euro dollar. The euro recovered yesterday. It bounced just off its actually weekly R1, monthly R1, and its weekly pivot was around about that area as well. So it ticked the box, got rid of that weekly pivot out of the way. Gives us the potential for further upside. We'll see, but and I say potential because today we've got, as I say, the FOMC meeting. Didn't quite get into divergence territory where we're sitting here. If you're looking down at this strength, yes, the strength's come out of it mainly because of the calculation that comes into play with that downward movement. But as we sit here at the moment, well, in fact, if you look at the signal, anyone looking at the signal's actually got stronger on this slightly higher move here. Maybe giving a bit of RSI divergence, not even that really, marginal. So the moment it's retaining its sort of bullish, bigger picture bullishness. As I said yesterday, there are actually, it's not on the daily, is it? It's on the bigger time frames here. Well, actually we've broken that now. I was looking at the previous week's 200, and it's at the moment just I say closing. It hasn't closed over it because it's a weekly bar, but it's certainly looking more bullish. Looking bullish. I wouldn't be surprised if we get into a position of consolidation through today, with the FOMC coming out later. So we'll see if we can get a quick move this morning. If we can't, it'll be a game of patience. But for now, a bit of divergence across this 60-minute time frame. Daily pivot below. A sell-off may give it that as I would certainly be targeting that if it starts selling off this morning post 8 o'clock. The pound, right, okay, it's now got into its daily 500. I was talking about it was pretty close to it yesterday. It's pitched through into it now. Well, there is a bit of divergence across these highs on the pound. The pound's sort of got a bit of divergence sort of rolling across there. May just soften up. Still got the weekly pivot untouched, but didn't want to get that far back yesterday. And well, it's come close-ish to its daily pivot today, and it's close to the R1. Again, I do wonder whether we'll just end up in a bit of a chop mode, but there is divergence. If it starts rolling over, well, maybe just trading it back to its key moving averages may be more obvious. Dollar yen, I believe here that what's happened is money's probably chasing into safety prior to the FOMC. It was maybe overdone yesterday. But it's continued in that route yesterday, lesser extent, but it's still rolling over there at this stage, coming back to its monthly pivot. Where to today? Well, it does look soft. There's no real signs of it giving up at the moment, although the push, each push down here has been a little bit softer. I would leave this alone personally and see if it will change course later this evening. Aussie dollar, the yen remains too much of a safety net really. Aussie dollar, the Aussie got hammered yesterday. As I said again, I was just looking there, the Aussie had already pushed through its 100 and 500 there, but it got quite hammered yesterday. It's not really recovering too well at the moment. It's struggling, but this could all change later. But you can see that it's sort of indecision there effectively of these markets at this stage. Again, if this starts rolling over, maybe, I mean, it's done a little bit of a Gartley pattern here for those that follow patterns. Basically, there we go, there's the pattern. That's the pattern that you're looking at, and generally you're expecting this sort of rollover. If it triggers, it's where it started. If it continues rolling over, it may have further downside here. But I'm quite wary of what's going on there at this stage. That's the Aussie Canadian dollar. I think patience may come into today a lot. Aussie dollar, Canadian dollar. Well, Canadian dollar gave way a little bit yesterday, just pulled back to the underside of that daily 200. It's moved back south at this stage, and well, not really giving much away here at all. Just lower high confirmed here on this 60-minute, and if anything, it does look like it may continue through to that S1. So looking soft for the dollar there, effectively. So what the dollar made one day, it's given back almost the next, by a lot of the currencies at least. Oil, I've been watching oil, but didn't set anything for me on the long side yesterday. It did come down and catch the weekly pivot. Still being patient here, waiting to see if it sets up again. But again, with the Fed, it will affect everything, and oil could just continue to consolidate here. It's quite a mess really as you look through it, but not probably quite as much of a mess on the bigger time frames. I'm just really looking at a trend line across the highs there, and see if it gets broken later this afternoon into the evening maybe. But the upward trend seems firm. If it's providing there's not an argument, any further arguments there over production quotas, or could run back towards that $50 at some point. Not too far away. Okay, and finally S&Ps. S&Ps, bit of a choppy old time, and you see, I was talking about this the other day. Just getting very thin at the tops here. That was the Asian session yesterday where it did sell off from that, but it's just, again, just holding its own really at this stage. Chopping for a long time, and I think that this evening will clear things up to a degree for where we go next here. If it's positive, we will most likely see yet another push up here on this S&Ps. Okay, that's pretty much it for today. So as I say, it could be a day of waiting. If we get any quick moves this morning, I will jump aboard, but otherwise it'll be waiting for this evening's plays. Have a great one. Bye for now.